Welcome, Laura. Thank you so much for joining me on the Emotional Eats podcast.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to be here.
I'm really excited because I connected with you because I saw that you were helping Natalie Jill, and I've been following her for a long time. And I want to share for the listeners, Laura Frontiero is a family nurse practitioner, and she has been helping Natalie Jill with gut health. And I happen to be running into a lot of the same issues. Plus, you are rounding out a 5-part series that I've been really excited to share. So if you're a listener and you're listening to today's, which is number 5, go back to number 1. You'll hear my story, which will come up a little bit today because it has a lot to do with our discussion. And then we also had some functional medicine practitioners and a pelvic floor specialist. So those are very, very interesting episodes, but this one is one that I've really been waiting for. But Laura, I would love to know, how did you decide, first of all, to get into the gut health side of things? And how did you jump into, I think the most incredible thing is when you became not only a nurse practitioner, but you have combined that with functional medicine health coaching. And I'd love to know how you brought the two together because one sounds very conventional and the other one sounds very holistic.
I know it is a kind of an interesting journey because I spent 25 years nearly in the conventional medicine space, working as a nurse practitioner for 21 of those 25 years in one of the biggest healthcare organizations in the country, Kaiser Permanente. I worked in family medicine, internal endocrinology. I worked in a metabolic bone disease clinic. I prescribed a lot of drugs. I worked in preventive medicine in the very beginning, which was probably where I first was introduced to really supporting the body from less of a medical perspective to more of a natural holistic perspective. But it was all done within the kind of infrastructure of an allopathic traditional medicine setting. So it wasn't quite the same as what we're doing over here in functional natural medicine. I knew nothing about the gut microbiome when I started. In fact, I never even heard of the gut microbiome until about 15 years into my career. And it's one of those things, seriously, Kim, that once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's not like you can learn about something as important as the gut microbiome and then not want to start talking about this and bringing it into your practice. Because at the end of the day, and I say this with so much respect for every healthcare practitioner in every modality of medicine, and I really want your listeners to lean in this moment and listen to what I have to say about this. Your practitioners, no matter where they work, they are working at the highest level possible to their knowledge. They are coming from a place of a healing heart. They want to help you. They want to heal you. They want to serve. But if they don't have the knowledge of natural and functional medicine, they can only practice as far as they know. So I really try to get out of the energy of making allopathic medicine wrong, because I was in allopathic for so long and I was 100% treating people with the knowledge that I had from a space of trying to help and not always being successful helping because I didn't know what I didn't know. So with that said, once you know, and then you're in an allopathic space and you've got people, literally people would be asking me, I'd be writing them a prescription for a drug and they'd say, well, isn't there a natural thing I can do? And then I'd sit there and go, oh gosh, I know the answer to this question, but it's not covered by insurance. And it's not, I can't make referrals outside of the, natural, or excuse me, the allopathic medicine space. Like I probably would get fired if I started sending everybody to my natural medicine doctor friends and telling them to take this supplement and go do that gut test. And so once I saw it and knew it, I knew I had to actually learn something. I had to actually find a new way to practice. It's funny, towards the end of my journey in allopathic medicine, I would literally tell people, okay, I'm going to give you some resources right now. I'm not going to write it in your chart. I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to write it down. I'm not going to email this to you. And if it ever comes back to me and you say, you told me to do it, I'll deny it.
I understand that because you said something so important. you can't unknow what you know, and you can't unsee what you see. So that's really powerful. And I love that you are having so much compassion for conventional medicine because everyone is doing the best they can with what they know and what they
Yep.
were taught. And really, we see on conventional medicine side, we really are having some wonderful success with things with trauma and treatment that, we have to be thankful that we have it for some of the things that we go through. If you're in a car accident or you need surgery, there are spaces for that. Thank you so much for having that compassion and not having it all or nothing, because I think we get into that space and we don't want to be negative about one side or the other. But this leads me to the next part of our conversation, which is we're going to dig into parasites today. And I knew something was wrong. And in the first episode of the series, I mentioned how I had chronic constipation for like 9 months. And of course, I went down every road thinking it's my hormones are out of whack again. Being on HRT, maybe I needed to check that. Maybe I needed to take out gluten and dairy. Maybe I went down all of it. So when I called the doctor, the first thing that the doctor said is, "Oh, we're just going to do a colonoscopy."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Okay, we'll do the colonoscopy. I'll play the game and I'll go ahead and do that." And there was nothing in the colonoscopy that would share any information other
Sure.
than the fact that I had a tortuous bowel, which is a very long colon. So I didn't know that. But so then I went to someone locally who is more functional medicine, holistic, also a nurse practitioner, and did a GI mapping. So before we get into that, I would love to have you share, first of all, what are parasites and how are they affecting the body and the gut?
Yeah, well, so first thing I want to say about parasites is they're actually part of the normal flora inside of our body. We all live with parasites inside of us. They've been with us
Mm.
since the beginning of time. They're very natural. The problem is when they overgrow, they can be symptomatic and problematic. The deeper question is, why are they overgrowing? Why is parasites such a buzzword right now? Why do you go on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and you see ads for parasite cleanses? Like, where is this coming from? Why all of a sudden all the interest in parasites? Because they've been with us since the beginning of time, since the beginning of humanity, whenever that started. We've had parasites with us. The truth of it is that there's thousands and thousands and thousands of species of parasites. There's protozoa, which are invisible to the naked eye, and then there's worms. Those are the helminths. Helminths and protozoa are the big ones. Then there's the type of parasites that are actually transferred from bugs, like mosquito bites and ticks and stuff like that as well. But for purposes of this conversation, let's talk about helminths and let's talk about protozoa. And you had a protozoa, and I know we're going to talk about this more. But the underlying question is, why are why are parasites becoming a big deal? And the simple answer is, really, our immune systems are overwhelmed right now to be able to be equipped to keep the balance in check of parasites. So you got to look at what is the definition of a parasite. It is an organism that lives off its host. You are supplying parasites with everything they need to survive. Oftentimes, there's a bit of a two-way street there where you supply the parasite with everything it needs to survive, and it solves a problem for you. And the problem that parasites solve is they're toxin sponges. Just think of it like that. They sponge up toxins, they feed on toxins. So the issue is we are in a more toxic time in human history than ever, and it's not slowing down. More toxins are being invented and used every day. It is a constant chronic problem, from the medications that you're being prescribed to the products that you're using to mop your floor and wash your dishes in the dishwasher, to the body scrub or body wash that you use in the shower, to the mascara that you're using, to the shampoo and conditioner, to the toothpaste. I mean, toxins are in our cookware, our food storage. they're in the food that we buy. Toxins are in the air, they're in the water, and your body is overwhelmed. Your immune system is overwhelmed with this toxic load. Toxins are arguably at the root of most chronic health conditions. And I'm talking about things like cancer, about Alzheimer's and dementia, about all the neurodegenerative disorders like Parkinson's as well. And then we go to more mild chronic conditions. When we think of cancer, dementia, heart disease, like those are the big bad ones, right? And in the middle, we've got autoimmune disorders and GI conditions. And then we've got just all these irritating symptoms of, I say air quotes, aging. So maybe you're achy and tired and brain foggy. Maybe you've got adult acne all of a sudden. Maybe you feel like my hormones are out of control. At the crux of this is truly toxins. I mean, this is one of the biggest issues. So why the issue with parasites? Well, we're full of toxins. Parasites eat toxins. Immune system knows that parasites eat toxins. So this is literally the conversation that's happening in your body. Your immune system says, hey, yo, parasites, come here. I've got a huge problem over here. I've got amalgam fillings that are leaking. I've got this mercury going into my brain. I've got all this glyphosate in my body from the food, even the organic food I'm eating that's contaminated with glyphosate. She won't stop putting this foundation on her face, and I've got all these phthalates and endocrine disruptors coming into my body. So this is your immune system talking now. So, hey, parasite, you're totally annoying. You're going to create all kinds of symptoms for me, but you're going to help me not die. You're literally going to help me survive this toxic wasteland that is in my cells that I don't know how to deal with. So in exchange for not killing you, I'm going to allow you to be here to eat this up and to help me get it off the brain and off the liver and off the lungs and off the heart and off all these places. So we have a parasite problem. Now, there's a fine dance between eliminating parasites and eliminating toxins, but really that's what we're dealing with right now is we're in a toxic world, and therefore parasites are a solution to a toxic world.
That was such a fantastic explanation. And I also love the list of toxins that you went through, because we just don't realize every single thing that touches our body, everything that we breathe in, everything that we eat. It's all something we have to look at. The second thing is listing some of those symptoms, because people really associate in my age range, midlife, 40 plus, 50s plus, 60s, with menopause. We're very confused by the symptoms. What is it and where is it coming from? And I didn't also realize that even possibly some leaky gut could have something to do with what was going on with me too. So that's why the food situation, which I would love to talk to you about also, before we move into some of the things that we can be doing, can they move or migrate from the digestive tract, or can they be in other places of our bodies?
Yeah, they move right through the digestive tract. So
Okay.
that layer of tissue that separates your digestive tract from the rest of your body is what we call permeable. It's supposed to be. It has little tiny micro holes in it that allow nutrients to get through into the bloodstream. Well, as leaky gut occurs, which is probably present in every person who lives in a developed country, people always ask me, how do I know I have leaky gut? Well, let's just check your pulse real quick. Do you have one? Do you have leaky gut? Right? And I say this in jest, but even I have to constantly and consistently work on solving leaky gut, because I live in a developed country. I definitely get exposed to toxins, even though I'm very careful and I'm very choosy and picky about what I put in and on my body. I always say perfectionism is impossible. I'm not perfect. I don't expect you to be perfect. So leaky gut is an issue. And back to the question of, can parasites get anywhere? Oh, heck yes. They love to migrate into your bloodstream and move around the body. They love to settle in your lungs. They love your sinuses. They love your liver. They love your joints. Some people think they have arthritis. They have parasites. Some people think they have asthma. They have parasites. Some people think my brain's just getting foggy because I'm getting older. It could be a parasite. people think that their ailing health conditions are a function of aging because that's what the medical system has told us. You're just getting older. We've run every test on you. We can't figure out what's wrong with you. Here's an inhaler for your asthma. Here's a pain medicine for your joint pain. Here's a, something to help you poop because your digestive system isn't working. And here's something for your depression. Here's something for your flaky, itchy, dry skin and your psoriasis and your dermatitis. And all of this can be toxic overload, infections, and a myriad of factors causing inflammation and really internal trauma. So yeah, parasites go everywhere.
Yay, really excited about that. I wanted to also ask you because you had talked about some of the symptoms. When I work with clients, a lot of people who come to me are dealing with emotional eating, they're dealing with cravings, they're dealing with just this overwhelming feeling like they cannot stay away from the sugar. They think they're actually addicted to sugar. Sometimes it's gluten and carbs. Do parasites, can they also cause some of those intense cravings?
Oh, for sure. It's a factor, right? So it's
Yeah.
definitely a factor in craving. So oftentimes when people go through gut restoring protocols and they start knocking down parasite loads, cravings go away. We hear it all the time, like, God, I'm not craving anymore. It's so amazing to be free of that, right? And we're in such beat up all the time. Like something's wrong with me because I can't stop eating bread, or I can't stop eating, whatever, ice cream or cereal, or I'm addicted to this, granola bar or whatever it is. It's all carbs, it's all sugar, right? So, or crunchy, salty things. I will also say, Kim, there is a piece of this that is literally scientifically created in a lab. There is a sweet spot for crunch, salt, sugar that actually creates addiction in the brain. So there's that piece as well. And literally some people have a job in a food laboratory where they find that bliss point. You call it a bliss point. And I mean, I am no stranger to this experience because you give me a bag of Boulder Canyon potato chips, which are made with olive oil, and those suckers, even though they don't have seed oils and even though they're, organic or whatever, they are so addicting. It is that bliss point of crunch, salt, carb, and my dopamine receptors light up and go more, more, more. So there's that too. But also parasites can be driving cravings. Also, food is very emotional. It's connected to our culture, our family traditions. It's connected to our childhood. I mean, there's a lot of reasons we eat, but parasites can be part of the craving driver.
That was a wonderful summary too, because that is everything we talk about in the episodes, all three of those. And that we want to make it one thing and it's never one thing. And I love that you brought up the food scientists because with that food, there's a reason why we can eat so much more and why it's so highly palatable. It has been worked on and it has been tested. So, but we do have the emotional, and I'm glad that the parasite situation comes up, and it's just a really good way for us to look at everything as a whole and not try to look at one piece of everything, because that's what I did at first. I just thought, it was food. It was just I was eating the wrong thing, and I really got caught up for a while just because I needed to function. I was very blessed. I had energy. I could work out every day, didn't have brain fog. I just had the constipation and ended up on things that I would never normally use. The Miralax, the Dulcolax, the stool softeners. And that's really what I wanted to get away from and have my body doing this again. So I am going to actually ask you about that. When people first get tested, let's talk about the difference between going to a conventional medicine doctor, and I told you my experience was going, the first thing they sent me to was a colonoscopy. Nothing wrong with that because that's just the protocol. Versus when I went to get the GI mapping. When you get a GI mapping, what are some of the things that we can find out that might dig a little bit
Yeah.
deeper?
Well, first off, I want to say I have many, many clients who had a colonoscopy, got a clean bill of health, and then said, but I still feel like something's wrong. So I'm just going to explore a little bit more. I heard this whole gut testing thing could really reveal some things that maybe Western medicine isn't looking for. So a GI map test is, there's many gut tests out there. GI map is one of the oldest on the market. It's been around a long time. Their assays are quite accurate. It's very good at finding pathogenic bacteria, pathogenic parasites, overgrowth bacteria. But there's some other really important markers on this test that can, I would say, make or break your success in healing. And if you don't know what's going on in these areas, and I'm going to unpack that for you in a second, but if you don't know what's happening in these areas, you could actually spin your wheels trying to solve. So let's just say for kicks, you went to your doctor and they did an ova and parasite stool test, and they found Giardia. Because one of the things that Western medicine will test for, that's a parasite, it's a protozoa. Oh, you have Giardia. The conventional wisdom is to give you an antibiotic for that for 7 days and send you on your way. You're good, you're healed. Well, what are some things that could hold you back from actually resolving that we can see on a functional medicine gut test like the GI map? Well, first off, the first thing we want to see is what other co-infections could be happening at the same time. What friends does that Giardia have? Does it have bacterial friends? Does it have other parasite friends? Does it have fungal friends like Candida? And is there overgrowth of maybe the good bacteria? Maybe they're partying a little too hard and the good guys are overgrown, which is also a problem. So that's the first thing, is maybe there's multiple infections going on. The second thing that the GI map test is going to show us that you won't get from a conventional test is really my favorite part of the test, which is the markers that are not related to infections. So there's a whole section that has to do with digestion markers, immune markers, and inflammatory markers. So let's unpack those for a second. So first off is digestion. Absolutely, your healing begins with being able to digest the food that you eat. Your body requires a higher level of energy. And I do think I need to unpack energy for a second. There's the energy that you feel every day when you get up in the morning and you go about your routine, and maybe you get a midday energy crash, or that's physical energy. That's the energy we experience going through our life. But then there's this other type of energy that is running everything in your body behind the scenes. So think of it like the wizard behind the curtain. That energy is needed for every system in your body to hum along and do what it's supposed to do. When you have an infection, like Giardia, we're just using that as an example because it's something Western medicine could identify for you. It's going to require more of that behind the scenes energy to actually clear it out of your body. Now, back to digestion. What do we make energy from? We make energy from the food that we ingest. And if you can't break down that food at the most basic level and then absorb it into the body and then metabolize it through the cells, can you have enough healing energy to actually support the immune system and actually support all the functions in your body to rid yourself of that infection? Probably not. And it may not manifest as the energy that you feel, meaning the energy you feel throughout your day. You could have a deficit going on and still move through your day, do your work, take care of your family, cook the meals, organize everything, be everywhere at once. You can still do that at a deficit with a deficit going on in the behind the curtain kind of energy that you don't realize is there. So if your digestive markers are wonky, and there's a couple of digestive markers that it looks at your steatocrit, which is a marker, really think of it, it's a fat marker, meaning it's looking for fat in the stool. If you have fat in the stool, it's a high likelihood that you're not making enough bile from your liver. Liver makes bile, secretes it into the small intestine, where it helps break down your food and make it possible to get it into the body. Now, I'm going to share something with your audience right now. If you can't break down and utilize fat for energy, you will have insufficient energy. Fat is actually the cleanest burning fuel source that your body can use. It's cleaner burning than carbohydrates. So your two energy producing macros are fat and carbs. Protein is not an energy macro. Protein is a structure, build the muscle, build the tendons, build the ligaments, repair the organs, repair cells. That's what protein is for. It can be utilized for energy if there's lacking fat and carb. But fat is your best burning fuel. Now, I'm a child of the 70s, so I remember the 80s and 90s craze where all fat was bad and fat-free everything, which was one of the biggest mistakes ever in nutrition. We need fat. We need fat to make healthy cholesterol. We need fat to make hormones. We need fat to burn for fuel in our cells. So this marker is very important on a GI test. The next marker is an enzyme marker. Now, these enzymes help break down your food. Your pancreas makes enzymes. There's a little pathway that goes from your pancreas to your intestines to put those enzymes into the GI tract to break down food. If you don't have enough enzymes, you can't break down food. So that's kind of a key piece to healing and to clearing parasites and to anything you want to achieve, you need to have fuel to do it. The next thing that this test looks at is the actual immune function in the gut. So 90% of your body's immune system actually is generated from your gut microbiome. At least that's our best thinking right now. This might change as we continue to research, but best thinking, current scientific thinking, is that 90% of your immune system lives in your gut. Well, there's actually markers on the test that show us, is your immune system overactive? Is it underactive? Is it reacting? Is it more likely to be reacting to foods like gluten or other histamine or food issues? And if those are out of whack, it's going to be harder to heal. And then the final marker on this section is a marker of inflammation in the body, in the gut, in the body. Now, if there's inflammation in the gut, there's inflammation everywhere. So this marker, it's called a calprotectin. It's actually widely accepted in the Western allopathic world as a marker for inflammatory bowel disease. So for things like Crohn's, colitis, and a marker for gauging how well somebody is responding to treatment, medical treatment for those issues. So some super important markers on the test. If those things are out of whack and not addressed, you spin your wheels trying to heal, trying to take the antibiotic, but good luck getting your energy back, getting your brain back, getting rid of that autoimmune disease, getting rid of those migraine headaches, clearing up your skin, preventing chronic diseases. It's going to be a long road if you don't solve at that level.
That is powerful. So I'm going to share, just to kind of keep with the original story too of what I went through. I did have the issue with the fat in the stool. Definitely the inflammation. So there was definitely the immune system. And I will share a little bit that you can add on to with that. But also, digestive enzymes really helped when I started taking those. I wanted to ask you about food first, because you mentioned that sensitivity. And I did find, even though I thought, I don't want to just eliminate food on a whim and see what happens. I did eliminate food because I just wanted to see, because I don't necessarily need a bunch of gluten in my, I know how I react. We all, if we really pay attention, we really listen to our bodies, we know how we react to different things. So when I did pull the gluten, sugar, and dairy out, it was amazing how I did change my body. Who knows about the parasite or not? Because at the same time, I was put on two different antibiotics. One was a combination of two, and then there was one on its own for 10 days. But I think what I wanted to ask you is there something that somebody can do if they are curious? Is there something with food that they can be doing while they're going through the process, whether it's holistic or the antibiotics?
Yeah. I'm going to say something really unpopular right now. And that is that food is medicine is not enough to solve this anymore. So if food is medicine, was, and you see it all over the place, let food be thy medicine. Well, yeah, pre-industrial age,
Yes,
pre-toxin
yes,
age.
and I would not still have a
Yeah,
parasite.
yeah.
So
So that's not to say that food isn't critically important and you shouldn't add insult to injury. But we are beyond the age where you can heal your body anymore with just food. You need some help. You need some support, some highly concentrated herbs and botanicals, binders, like high dose of certain nutrients that you couldn't eat enough of. I always think about those commercials when I was a kid for Total cereal. I would say 1 bowl of Total equals 10 bowls of Cheerios, right? So great, you can eat your 10 cups of broccoli a day, or you can get some support with one supplement and not kill yourself trying to eat enough broccoli, right? I mean, I'm being silly, but so yes, there are definitely foods that are supportive, but I don't want to mislead anyone listening here and have them think, oh, great, I can just drink some kombucha every day and eat some fermented foods and drink some bone broth, and this is going to solve my problem. I've yet to meet somebody who has actually solved their problem with just changing the way you eat. It's critically important. You don't want to add insult to injury. You don't want to eat things that are going to make you more sick or feed the flames, right? So how do I approach food in my practice? Well, number one, I take all of the stress off of food. I actually don't talk much about food until about 3 months in to our healing process. Because what I found is if I tell people you have to stop eating this, and this, and eat this, and this to be successful, they actually will fail. It'll be the thing that broke the camel's back because we are more attached to food and our traditions and our cultures and our cravings and our likes than almost any other thing. And so in the beginning, I was putting all this emphasis on food, doing exactly what I was taught by my mentors. Make sure people are eating, plenty of plants and plenty of eat the rainbow and cut out this and that. I said, there's got to be a way to get people better without so much emphasis on food. Now, don't mishear me because people will hear what they want to hear at this moment in the podcast. They'll
yes,
be like,
I can eat everything.
that's not what I'm saying. You literally can't escape changing the way you eat. You just don't have to, it doesn't have to be the very first thing you do. Eventually, you're going to have to shift. You're going to have to change, but let's get some wins. Let's get you motivated. Let's get your energy up. Let's get your brain functioning. Let's get, some of that eczema and dermatitis cleared up. Let's get you feeling a little bit better so that now you're motivated to actually go make the food changes. And I find once people start winning and symptoms start reversing and they start feeling like themselves again, what happens naturally with humans is they start looking around for the next thing to do because now they know they can get well and they've experienced what feeling a little bit better does for their whole life and their relationships and their performance at work and their, parenting, and everything gets better. And then they start saying, so I'm feeling a lot better. I'm doing the things you recommended. Can we focus on food now? Like, is there some foods so now they're asking for it, right? Now they're
Yes.
asking for it. So you're much more likely to be successful when you start feeling better. So back to answer your original question. I mean, there's a few categories of foods that are known to be highly inflammatory, known for most people with leaky gut. And I just said that all of us have leaky gut. So foods like gluten-containing foods, corn, soy, sugar, dairy, cow dairy, these are kind of big five that are really tough on the body and make it really big barrier and hurdle to healing. And eventually I'm going to recommend that you consider taking these things out. I think that's kind of part of your journey too, Kim. You took some things out eventually. But the question is, can you get healthy? Can you feel better? Can you start getting rid of parasites, bacteria, bringing the immune system back online without so much emphasis on food? You 100% can, but eventually you'll have to get there if you want sustained results and if you want to go to the next level.
That was such a great balanced answer because, people are dealing with food issues right now. It's very hard based on the things that we mentioned before that are causing people to eat and eat more than they want to eat. And I think that when you do say something like, hey, you can't have this, our brains, human brains automatically have this rebellious nature. We're like naughty 5-year-olds. We want it even more. And we have to have a mindset and an intrinsic feeling to want to change. And success does breed success. And when we find evidence that things are working, then we do have a little bit more foundation to change the food. I just happen to be, as a holistic health coach, it's a little easier for me than other people because I've been in this space for a while and I've seen what it does. And I'm excited. I really love your approach though of working on other things first, getting the win, because the food I think is literally the hardest part for
The
most
hardest part,
people.
why would we start with the hardest part?
Right. Yeah. That's
It's like
let's get some
literally
wins.
setting yourself up to fail. Why would we start with the
Exactly.
hardest thing?
I have a random weird question about parasites, though, that I heard, and I'd love to know your input on it. Are they nocturnal? Do they tend to be more active in the evening? Because I notice a lot of people who have experienced this, they wake up a lot in the middle of the night and wondered if there was a connection.
Yeah, for real. So for sure.
Mhm.
Now, it's not so much that parasites are nocturnal, so to speak. It's when is the best time for parasites to feed on you? And so what do you do at night while you're sleeping? When you're sleeping, this is the digest, rest, repair, recuperate mode. And while your brain is asleep, you're not aware, right? You're conscious. What's happening in your body is your gut is very busy making neurotransmitters, making hormones, making vitamins. This is a great time for parasites to come out and get what they need, right? So, yeah, I mean, the middle of the night wake up could very well be parasites. The full moon craziness that people have and the more difficulty sleeping during a full moon, could that be parasites? Yes, because our body makes more serotonin during a full moon. This is scientifically proven. This is not hocus pocus. We as humans produce more serotonin during a full moon, and parasites feed on it. They love it. They use the serotonin. Remember, parasites live off their host. So my big question is, all the crazy things that happen around a full moon that increase, my mom is a retired ER nurse. So around a full moon, all the craziness comes in. People injure themselves. They hurt each other. There's car crashes. Is it parasites? Maybe, or I don't know.
Who knows? I am all in on the full moon stuff. My husband gets headaches during the full moon. There are all kinds of things. I totally agree. And who knows? I think that's really interesting though that I asked because there was just so many, when you hear it so many times, you start to wonder what the overlap is. So we are, as we're rounding this out, I could talk to you for another hour, but I want to respect your time. If you had just 3 tips for a woman who's dealing with some gut issues, she's not really sure where to turn, what would be some steps that she could take? First, maybe if she had to go get testing, you can talk about that. But also, what are some things that she could be doing on a daily basis to try? If she's like, hey, I don't think I really have this going on, maybe I can do some things on my own first. Obviously, if we have a parasite, we have to go a little further, but just any
Yeah.
tips that you have for someone.
Yeah, I think the first thing to do is to think about stopping the flow of toxins into the body. So how do you do that? One thing at a time, right? One thing at a time. So I would never suggest, just like changing all your food overnight is overwhelming, so is changing all your body products and cleaning products and everything in your house. So as you run out of things in your house, be it your cleaning products, your lotion, your toothpaste, your food, I want you to seek a replacement for it that is clean, that is non-toxic. So that's the first thing, one product at a time. Your family will literally rebel against you if you go throw all the products in the bathroom away and replace with all new ones. They'll be like, that was my favorite lotion. Where is it? Why did you get rid of that? And so you can't, don't do that to your family, one thing at a time. People will say, that's expensive, Laura. Well, at the end of the year, spending $1 more on a tube of lotion that you buy maybe 4 times a year, it's really not that much more expensive. At the end of the year, a whole year, maybe between every product in your house that you're replacing, you might spend $200 to $500 more in an entire year. And I would ask you, is your health worth that? 100% yes. So that's a first place to start. Okay, you asked for 3 things. So number 2, let me think, where do we want to go with this? You know what I would say is sleep. Sleep is literally so underrated and we don't get enough of it. Protect your sleep, savor your sleep, make sure you're giving time in your evening to get to bed on time. There's so much you can do to have a sleep chamber or a sleep environment that allows sleep. It's dark, it's cool, it smells good, it's not cluttered. It's, all these things are important. First thing you should do is go get the laundry baskets and all the unused stuff and boxes of stuff out of your bedroom. Get it out of there. Like, make that the most clean, peaceful, zen place in your house. So declutter is really important. And consider sleeping under a weighted blanket. 25 pounds does wonders for most people. I personally sleep under a 25-pound blanket every single night, even in the summer. And getting that sleep so your body can actually repair, your immune system is going to work so much better if you prioritize sleep. And on that note, I would say circadian rhythm matters. So go to bed get your eyes on the setting sun and then go to bed by 9-10 o'clock at night. And in the morning, get up with the rising sun, get your eyes on that rising sun. Now, people who work night shift are listening to this going, that's just not possible. You're going to hate what I'm going to say right now. Stop working night shift. It literally is killing you. There's probably nothing worse for our health than shift working. And there is just no solution. There's no antidote for shift work. It literally is detrimental to your health. Okay, one more thing. I would say I'm trying to keep the emphasis off of food, like I said I would.
Love that.
So I really want, because you're expecting me to say, eat cultured food, drink some kombucha, but I'm trying to find things that are a little bit different. I would say on the food space, I would say eat enough protein. I think we undereat protein. Protein is expensive, right? Meat cost is going through the roof. It's insanity. The other day I went to the grocery store and I wanted to cook filet mignon. And I bought 3 little grass-fed filet mignons with $65 for
Yes.
3 grass-fed fillets to feed my 3-person family. So yes, that's a very high quality cut of beef, but you guys, it didn't used to be that expensive to eat filet. It is now
No,
ridiculous.
it's really expensive. I'm very blessed. My husband is a hunter, so we have a freezer full of venison. So we're very lucky.
Yep. So find sources for getting enough protein into your body. And for those of you who don't eat meat, make sure you're getting enough complete protein. Protein is healing to your body. You need it to restore your tissues. So how are you going to heal leaky gut? If you don't have enough protein, which is made up of amino acids and peptides, which is what you need to heal your body. So those are 3 things that people are not expecting to hear about healing their body. And I would add just a 4th overlaying concept is that perfectionism isn't possible. And if you take anything from this talk today, it's that your healing is not some perfect straight shot up. There's going to be setbacks. It's going to be more of a roller coaster ride. Some days you're going to feel like you're making progress. Others, you're going to feel like you're going backwards. Your health is like a puzzle that you're putting together. You're going to keep finding pieces and layering it in. And sometimes you pick up a piece and try it. Like, I can't find where this goes. It doesn't work. You're going to try things in your health that don't seem to work. Don't give up. Don't say that's not for me. It just may not be the right moment for that puzzle piece. You might have to build some more of the puzzle out before you can put that piece in. So don't give up. And the final thing I would say is every single person can heal. I truly believe you can heal. I don't believe in an end stage diagnosis of finality. people can heal. And I mean, don't mince my words. If you have end stage cancer and you're literally on your last breath, probably not. But I'm talking way before that, right? Way before that. People, if you do not have a chronic, devastating diagnosis, you absolutely can heal your body 100%. And even people with cancer have recovered from it. Even people with Alzheimer's have slowed that process down and had better quality of life. Even people with things like MS, Parkinson's, they have improved their quality of life. So if that's you and you're chronically ill, go for improvement of quality of life and slowing down the progression of the disease process. If you don't have a chronic disease, then do everything you can to prevent that from happening, because that is the direction that our culture is going.
Absolutely. First of all, those tips were amazing. And your bonus tip to let go of perfectionism is on point. It is awesome. Appreciate that. So, Laura, where can everyone find you? Because we want to make sure that they can come see what you're doing. And if you are working with people, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can find me at laurafrontiero.com. My name is spelled like the Great Frontier with an O on the end of it. I'm on Instagram at laura.frontiero. You can find me on Facebook, although I'm almost never there. If you message me on Facebook, you probably won't get a response. There's only so much we can do.
Right.
But
Instagram is our jam.
yeah, I mean, and even then you're not actually going to reach me likely. You're going to reach
Mm.
somebody on my team who's going to answer your questions and support you. And you can go to the Work With Me page on my website. You can book a free discovery call with our health coaches. They can talk to you about your health scenario and your goals and find out if one of our programs is a good fit. We generally run group programs and help people start with healing gut first, because that's the foundation.
That's great. Laura, I just want to thank you, first of all, for your compassion, for your understanding of food being an issue for people and not starting there, but also just for your valuable information and your tips today. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, Kim. And, I just applaud the work that you're doing, being in this space of supporting, women to have a safe place to heal and have an understanding that, it's a unique journey for each and every person. And it's finding the things that will help you. But being a torch for women's health, I thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. And for the listeners, make sure you nourish your entire life and give yourself grace today.